you are doing well today. I have a very quick little video for you showing two little journaling cards that I made for a nature album that I'm working on, or a nature journal I'm working on. And these are two index cards that I have coffee stained, and then I use some of my Lindy's Stamp Gang sprays to add some of this green color to them. And what I am doing is taking some dictionary pages coffee stained and some of these like time punch cards that have been coffee stained and just trying to put kind of a base collage down here on each of these cards where I'm going to then add a mushroom and butterfly embellishments. So I'm just inking around the pieces here. I always like to ink around my pieces. I try to keep some of that out of the video so you don't watch me having to ink, but in this case this video is pretty short, so you do see me inking some of my pieces this time. Here I pulled the doily out of my stash that is coffee dyed. I wanted it to be just a little bit darker, and then I had the idea that I would not use it as an entire piece, but I would use it as a stencil at first and then take pieces off of it to add to my collage. So in a minute here you'll see how I'm going to use this little soft brush and my vintage photo distress ink and then add some stenciling on these cards. And I really like how that turned out. I'm glad I thought of that because it just really gives a nice little background texture to it. See how that pretty that is? I really like how that turned out. So you just gotta be really careful. I recommend using more of this type of brush to stencil on them. If you use the foam applicators, you're gonna get a harsher line, and the doilies are pretty delicate. And I think they'd probably rip with the foam pads. So I do recommend using something like this, like a stencil brush or something that has a softer application. So I'm just kind of going around adding where I think it should be added. There, I put it on, but so you can see I just covered it up. So I'm not sure why I did that, but it is all good. So here I'm going to rip this into two pieces. I'm going to put a little piece on each of the collages, and I really like how the yellow color peeks out. I think it's a nice pop and contrast with the blue and the green on the page. Just using some of my Beacon 3-in-1 glue to glue everything together. I really like this glue because it doesn't warp anything like some of the other liquid glues do, and it dries pretty quickly. So I do like when I use some of the thinner papers, especially using this glue, because everything kind of just lays flat and I don't have to worry about buckling and things like that. Sometimes when I use the thinner paper I will use glue stick, but in this case I didn't want the pieces to lay so extremely flat on the page, and glue stick I like to use for the collages and things where I want all the edges and everything to be very, very tightly adhered to the page. And this cards I kind of want it to be more loose or curly around the edges. I didn't mind that. So now I'm just looking through my stash of fussy cut mushrooms, trying to figure out which mushroom is going to look best here. And I can't remember where I got these, but if you're interested in finding out, let me know. You can leave a comment below and I can look up where I've gotten some of these mushrooms from. Off the top of my head, I'm just not remembering. And if I think about it, I'll try to put a link in the comments below. Here I'm just pulling out some butterflies. I pull out a blue and then more of a brown one. I do trim the blue one out, but then I decide to use this brown one here that I'm trimming out instead. I just like the contrast and I thought it went well with that yellow doily. Just to give it a little more aged look, I do add some of my distress ink on them. Not too much, but I like this little brush. It gives a really nice light airy coating of the color without overwhelming it. Just using my glue stick. I wanted these guys to stick down pretty well since they are a thinner copy paper. And then I will trim off some of these edges after they dry. So I really like how that is looking. And I am going to now work on the back of them. Oh no, I'm sorry, I forgot I put some cheesecloth on there. I thought it needed a little bit more texture, so I'm just trimming out some of this coffee dyed cheesecloth and then adding that to the little cards as well. Just kind of scrunching it up and putting it there at the bottom. Kind of grounds the mushrooms there, and I think that looks really nice. And again, that 3-in-1 glue works really well for this kind of application. It's made for fabric and things like that. And then I'm putting it right there on the right hand side of that little butterfly card. Just scrunching it all up. And then I will stitch around these and I will show you how that looks at the end. So far I like how that's turning out, and then I wanted to do something on the back. Just trying to figure out. Now this already has place for journaling, so I don't feel like I need it too much. So I'm just going to do a bit more of the stencil with the doily on the back, again, just to give it some extra texture. I really like how that looks. So that's pretty much it. I'll show you some stitching that I did on them in here in a minute. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you want to know when I have a next video, then you can click on the little bell. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye, everyone.